Hello, welcome to another episode of Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, and today I am very excited to be talking about Chainsaw Man, both the anime and the manga. We're going to be talking about episode 7 and 8. Episode 8 of the anime just dropped, and we're going to be talking about chapter 112 of the manga. If you're an anime only watcher, don't worry. We'll go ahead and look in the description. You can enjoy the first chunk of this podcast without any manga spoilers. But if you are worried about it, go ahead and check in the description. I'll put a little time on when we start talking about the manga. So enjoy. But again, I am Jason Hahn, host of Manga Mondays and writer for ScreenRant.com. Very excited to talk about Chainsaw Man. We talk about all kinds of podcasts, this is a podcast where we talk about all kinds of manga series. And I got a couple buddies to talk about Chainsaw Man with me today. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Ben, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm Ben. I'm a writer for Screen Rant as well, for the comics and anime and manga sections. And these latest episodes and chapter of Chainsaw Man were incredible. So I'm hyped to discuss them.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of had to take a little bit of a break last week just because of some scheduling issues, but the manga is unfortunately on break this week. But we decided we still want to talk about the new anime episode, and we're still going to talk about the chapter that came out last week. So buckle up, because we also got Steven.
Hey, yeah, my name's Steven, writer for Screen Rant. Big Chainsaw Man fan, so let's get talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Episode 7 of the Chainsaw Man anime. It was last week, so we got to the end of the Eternity Devil. The last we left that episode, Denji jumped into an elevator shaft, and some band music just started playing immediately. I know Steven's a big fan of some hormone, somebody.
I was very happy to see them turn that into an insert song as well. For the third ending theme in there. And also we got the perpetual motion machine,
They did do that.
Yeah, which was just done incredibly well. So hats off to the anime team.
Yeah, it was really good, or being able to see just like it jumped over to the other people and they're like, man, how long has it been? Like Denji's been fighting this thing for 3 days. And just him absorbing or drinking the blood heals him. So he's just able to keep on going because he's just pretty much drowning himself in demon blood. I really, really enjoyed, like, the anime made it seem like, you really got that the devil that he was fighting was in so much pain that it's just like, please just take my heart. And it's just something... The sound and all that stuff just is so much more resonant in the anime compared to like the manga. I remember reading it in the manga and just like, oh man, that's brutal. Yeah, that makes sense. The devil would probably be in a lot of pain, but like actually hearing the help me with the band name, Steven.
Maximum the Hormone?
Maximum the Hormone, thank you. While that music's going and the devil screaming and the blood and just it was a rocking good start to episode 7. But then, quickly we go after that. Everyone's, after they recoup, they all go out for drinks. And Makima even shows up. And I love Makima. It's just like, if you can outdrink me, I'll answer your question. And
that does not happen.
Nope, It doesn't happen. Makima is a lady who can hold her liquor very well. And speaking of people who cannot hold their liquor very well, Himino, Eye Patch Lady. We finally get Denji's like conflict between loving Makima and wanting to kiss Makima, but then Himeno's whole thing was, if you get us out of here, I'll give you a kiss. And watching Denji like wrestle with that, he's just like, oh man, I totally want this kiss, but Makima's looking, and then we get.
Well, before you get to the puke, I think the anime did a really good job of like, because that Makima is watching, but the fact that how she's staring intently, I felt it a lot more there. Like it was a very awkward moment where it's like you felt really, you feel for Denji because it's like, oh man, you want your homeboy to score, but it's like, oh man, she's right over there. It's beautiful. Beautifully done.
It's like, Makima, do you need to go to the bathroom real quick? Or I I don't smoke, but I'll try a cigarette with you. Him and no outside. Come on, Denji. He's young. He doesn't have the techniques down. He's he's not good at that yet. But
it's important to note he is a minor. That is
yes. That is a main thing that got pretty uncomfortable towards the end of episode 7, but I'm glad that it at least got addressed in episode 8. But I don't know, to describe the moment that happens next. I don't know, Ben. You want to? Oh, Conceit. Do you want to take over this part, Ben?
I mean, I've been waiting for this for basically the entirety of the anime, but sorry, one leads into another, I guess. I've been waiting for this moment since basically the start of the anime, and he's getting this kiss. There's tongue, and then there's something else. And she just pukes into his mouth, and I was so disappointed that the anime censored it. But talking with some of my anime only friends, they were like, the censoring actually made it grosser than the manga. I mean, I disagree, but if the censoring made it grosser for you, then I'm happy about that, because I was really excited for this moment. And then the ending theme did something very glorious. Like, the ending theme for episode 7 is one of my favorites of the show. Not just for its sort of lo-fi 90s sort of reminiscent style, but like also that loop of just Himeno puking into Denji's mouth like over and over again, like rotating that around, and the singer singing Gero Chu, which is both means like get on kiss, like get this kiss on, but also it means vomit kiss. So just saying vomit kiss while it shows. So that was really great.
That sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Yeah, vomit kiss. But I was very happy with how they did that scene. And then they went a little bit further too. And I thought they were just going to end it there, but they did end it on Himeno asking Denji if he wants to do it in bed, which was quite a cliffhanger. So,
oh my god, the especially these last couple episodes, the cliffhangers are just, they're choosing the perfect times to end these episodes.
Yeah, I mean this last episode didn't really have much of a cliffhanger, but the other one's been pretty good there.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I actually think this new episode had maybe my favorite cliffhanger. But before we dive into that, I too loved the outro for the episode 7. I'm just I write video game stuff, so I'm just a huge fan of just any well done video game references. And the first chunk of the outro being like a SNES like RPG where each character walks into the bar and then you get their stats and their attacks and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. And then it just transitions into Rainbow puking into Denji's mouth, and what many call one of the greatest manga panels to ever be drawn, adapted into the anime. It was great. Episode 7 was just keeping the train going. And honestly, it's looking back, it's kind of a transition episode. Like we're transitioning from them just, being this little group of like devil hunters going off on, they had their little adventure with the Eternity Devil. And, I was just thinking as like an anime only watcher that at that point you might be like, okay, this is what this show is. It's just, a ragtag group of devil hunters that are all young and kind of figuring things out. There's a couple of them who know what they're doing. This is what the show is going to be. They're just going and fighting devils that have weird powers. And all right, let's go. And then episode 8 happens. And before we jump into what happens in episode 8, was there anything else in episode 7 that you guys wanted to bring up? Because the puke kind of over-encompassed so much that happens. But
well, I gotta ask Ben a question, because like you're obviously fast. Like, so for me, I don't know. I was never excited about the puke. I know a lot of people were. What is it about the puke?
It's just the complete subversion of expectations in a way that's aggressively anti-audience. It's like aggressive. It's like, oh, we've got some fan service. Well, it's not quite. It's anti-fan service.
Yeah.
And people complain all the time about Chainsaw Man being a very horny series, and it is a very horny series.
Yeah.
But what it also is, it's very much like, oh, you came here for the horniness. No, we're not doing that. You're not going to get any horny moments. You're going to get just disgusting subversions whenever it gets to that point.
It is crazy though, like and it kind of like augments that. It's like the kissing was so much more intense in the anime than the manga. Like the manga was basically like there might have been some tongue, but it was like a short moment, like one panel. That's it. But so it kind of makes it even worse if you think about it, because his kiss is very involved. It goes on for quite some time.
And that's something that actually leads into like one of the last things I wanted to say about episode 7 was just how great the animation's been, but it's just how well they animate the small moments. Like it's not always anime characters jumping around tendrils that are shooting in and out of the screen, and you're catching the action. Of course, those are all really well done, but it's just like the subtleties of like the tongues going in and out, and like and to kind of jump on to like going. Right, I'll talk slower, deeper. But it's like the to jump onto what Ben was saying, it's the subversion there, where as and again, I just love jumping into the mindset of anime onlys who are just experiencing this for the first time. As soon as like the lips lock and you're just like, yeah, Denji, my man, it gets you into that sense of like, hooray, he's winning very quickly. Bam, puke. Just the worst thing that could possibly happen. It's just how this series, like, oh god, I'm just imagining like what it does later in the series too, on just how it just makes you feel like, okay, I think everything's going to be okay, and then literally the next page is just like, nope,
wait, everything is going to be okay.
Very different.
Nothing bad happens in the series after this.
It's all rainbows, especially. Yeah, great segue into episode 8, Ben.
Well, I will say one. I will say one thing. Sorry, I ruined the segue.
No, it's fine because I still had something on episode 7 too. So go ahead.
Yeah, so kind of going off what you were saying earlier, Jason, like during the battle with the Eternity Devil, hearing the wailing and stuff, like it definitely made it much more intense. But also, what I'm loving too is that the anime is able to capture more of Denji's insanity. Like just hearing him laughing and just freaking out over it. Like there's only so much that you can get in the manga, but he really does come across like, because a big thing in the manga too, and they're bringing it here, is that you have to have some screws loose, and you're definitely seeing more of those screws being loose. There's more screws loose in the anime than the manga, it feels. But I also appreciate the fact that it kind of delves into, and it relates to something in the manga, which I won't bring up, not the manga, since we're talking about the anime only. But I really did like how there was that instance where Himona, when she's watching him fight, she's coming to the impression that it's like he is basically the perfect enemy for devils, because like for devils, they're able to exploit human weaknesses and their fears. But with Denji, like he's just so unpredictable. That they're unable, they don't know what to do with him. And I don't know if you're following with how this relates to the manga, but I just really appreciated that as well. Just because there is more to Denji than just going crazy and slicing people up. I feel like there is more to that, to how he fights.
Yeah, he's just very focused on his goals, because once he gets a goal, he's just like, all right, that's the one thing I'm going to think about. And I almost think it's very Luffy like. Like Luffy kind of does a very similar thing from One Piece. It would be kind of an interesting read as a comparison between those two.
Yeah, One Piece and Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, right. People would love to read that, I'm sure. But episode 7 too, when we get back to Himeno's apartment, just again, the animation is just like mind blowing. Like there's a POV shot of Denji with her like walking into his room.
Oh, it's like all swaying.
Yeah, it's all swaying, and it's just like they captured like the subtle movements of not spoiler alert. I have been drunk before. And
what?
Yeah, right. Oh my
I was waiting to
God.
find that out later.
Yeah,
It
I'm in
ruined
my
it.
30s. It's allowed. But just like the movement and like I believe it was all 3D animation,
It
and
looked it, yeah.
it did look like
I think it
it.
was a mix because I mean, Chainsaw Man's been very good at mixing them together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, great segue into episode 8 because we pick off right where we left off in the apartment after Denji gets asked to do it. Actually, a little bit
Well,
before.
yeah, And speaking
Which
of POVs, we get
yeah,
another POV.
I was gonna actually just say that was very clearly like all CG, just because like if you imagine how they would possibly be able to draw like the shift of perspective of
Yeah.
somebody like walking up on Denji being in the bed. Um, but again, just the subtleties in the animation when you watch her. This sounds creepy at first, but it doesn't get creepy. When she goes to clean up in the bathroom and she's just like drunk leaning against the thing, and you see her like unbuttoning each one of her shirt like buttons, and it's just like it just felt so lifelike, for the
They're
lack of a better
very
term.
realistic because that's
Yeah.
what someone would do in that situation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of shows wouldn't necessarily show every button being unbuttoned, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just a waste of time for some people. But that's part of what makes Chainsaw Man great is that it's, actually trying to be grounded and realistic in a pretty absurd world.
And it's so ironic too, because like you could tell in the manga, especially later on, it's like how inspired Fujimoto is by cinema.
Yeah.
Like trying to capture, like elongate those moments by doing panel after panel after panel.
Just gonna say how cinematic
they're capturing it. Yeah, they're capturing it beautifully, and that's ironic. We're saying that most anime don't do this, but it should because like it's absolutely just stunning cinematically.
Well, it's just one of those things where like with storytelling, you either have to balance like informing the readers with new information that like builds the story that you're trying to tell, but you also at the same time want to do world building. And anytime that you're only focusing on one and forgetting the other, then it kind of starts to get disconnected. And just the anime is just balancing that. I would say better than most animes I've seen over the last few years. Like it's just the way that they're capturing it is just such a treat. And getting to see like her walk up on Denji and seeing the like perspective shift, like as she's like getting over to him and stuff. It was amazing. And that's not even like the coolest parts of the episode. Like things get violent and crazy later on, and of course that looks great, but there's just so many moments in this like apartment that I was just like, my jaw was on the ground. I was like, this looks so good. Like, and then we get to like their talk on the balcony, and it just makes it feel like, oh man, I like this Himono character. I can't say it very well, but Himono is just so like friendly and awesome, and I can't wait to spend more time with her and see how their relationship builds.
Which is why the elongation of those scenes you're mentioning is so critical. Like we're watching her in these very intimate moments. You're seeing her when she's most vulnerable, which is as to what you're saying. Yeah.
Just like most human, like because we just got done with like learning you need to have some screws loose, and we're fighting these crazy devils and perpetual death machine Chainsaw Man, and then we get to watch this beautiful moment of this woman getting home drunk and just getting ready for bed. Like it just adds so much character to it. I loved it. I guess things don't stay peaceful for very long.
I guess we won't get much more of Himeno in the future.
Spoiler.
Oh, man. Yeah. Because by the end of the episode, things don't shake down very well for her. We get to the restaurant and we get the haunting music. It almost reminded me, I know I bring up Game of Thrones a lot in the Mega Manga Mondays podcast, just because it was such a big part of my life for so long. Cinematically, too, it's just, man, it's so good. But one of my favorite bits of, and I'm not going to spoil Game of Thrones, but there's a moment where a whole episode, like the first chunk of it, is all just like music growing until like this huge thing happens where there's this huge explosion and a bunch of people die. And it's,
a bunch of people die.
people die in Game of Thrones. It's nuts. But in this episode, like the music just starts going and you jump around town to see all the devil hunters that we just recently learned or just got to know. And before you know it, these people that they're helping just start pulling guns on them. And you just hear the pop. You cut over, like one of my favorite bits of this episode too was like you hear the pop and then there's just some guy walking his dog and then the dog's like reacting to it, like what was that sound, like because guns are a big no-no in Japan. Like they even bring a point, and I'm really glad that they did, because there's a lot of people who don't know, like guns aren't allowed in the public. Like if you, the only way you can have a gun is if you're like a police officer, or in this series, special devil hunters might be able to use them. But so, I mean, hearing a gunshot in the neighborhood is like a big, like, that's not good. That's a bad thing. We don't hear very often.
I'll say that, you know, that's definitely true. But, you know, I don't want to give the impression for any international viewers that's not a no-no in America. That they're more common in America. But if you hear a gunshot in the neighborhood, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, that's fine.
That's normal,
walking, you know.
Not to downplay living in America. It's I live in the Midwest, and I can't say I've heard a gunshot anytime lately.
My neighbors like shooting guns a lot. Yeah,
different type, hopefully. Different type of shooting, hopefully.
A lot of target practicing.
Yeah. So we've got Aki, Power, Himono, and Denji enjoying some ramen. Some guy just starts talking, and he kind of reveals that he was one of the grandsons of the first gangster that Denji killed. I kind of forgot about that. Like, I don't remember that being in the manga.
There. Yeah, no, that was in the manga.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where you're just like, oh, okay, so this guy's like a mafia guy out for revenge, and then it turns out to be so much more than that. The guns go off. Denji gets shot in the head, which total normal Denji stuff. I'm sure he's fine.
I mean, it is Chainsaw Man, so it'd be kind of weird if he died. But, you know, speaking of shot in the head, we forgot to mention the inciting incident about this before we get into the ramen shop. The first shot that's fired, first person to fall, is Makima, which is, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the big thing like I was waiting for, because you know, the anime has been featuring her so heavily in all this promotional stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest shock, like for me early, was when they killed off Makima. And I feel like it's a big shock for a lot of anime fans too.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying going through Twitter this morning, and so many people are like, they killed her? How did they kill Makima? Oh my god. Like
and there's this one person on Twitter, like they've read the anime, and they're just like, you know, this won't spoil anything. It's like, you know, after all of this, I'm just going to stop watching the anime right now. It's ruined for me.
Oh man, I hope that person changes their mind.
Yeah. I mean, the influence of Makima definitely remains in the series, but like, you know, I know she was a lot of people's favorite characters, but hopefully they keep watching.
Yeah.
At least to see Denji's reaction to her death, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems inevitable. There's definitely some things that I'm still not going to spoil. We're not going to talk about it until we get into manga stuff. But it's just, you know, in this culture, it's it's very, very difficult to avoid a lot of spoilers. But especially with like an anime that's as popular as Chainsaw Man, people are just sharing like little clips and images, and people sharing like the images of Makima being dead in the subway is just like, oh man, that's not good.
That's, you got to let people enjoy it on their own, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It got ruined for me a lot as a kid.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. But yeah, it's if I remember correctly, in the manga, wasn't she in a car when?
No, she was in a train.
It was still a train. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I remember it a little bit differently, but yeah, one of the things I loved about this episode was just how desperate like it left. Like anime onlys, you've been watching 8 episodes, and you get to this point, and you just wouldn't know what to think anymore. Like. Slight Attack on Titan season 1 Attack on Titan spoilers, but that was one of my favorite bits when Eren gets eaten And there's, I think, also like a whole episode there where you're just like, is this the series now? Like, is this whole series about like one kid who inspired a whole bunch of other people, and it's just about them like living their lives afterwards? And then it doesn't turn out to be that. It's Aaron's still going and kicking.
Yeah. Wait, Denji's still alive? What?
Yeah,
Denji's
right.
dead.
Well, it was just like the
For sure.
whole idea that like, you build up all this time with these characters, and their deaths are so shocking. But yeah, keep watching. But but just the animation on, especially like I didn't quite remember how Himono went out. And so getting to watch, like, I was blown away that all of this happened in this episode. I was thinking that we were going to be having to wait another couple episodes, but then as soon as like as soon as they arrived in the ramen shop, I was just like, oh my God, this is all happening right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought that episode 8 was going to end with Makima getting shot, because I thought that was going to be the big cliffhanger. But Himeno dying I'm glad they carried it forward past that, because seeing everyone dying was like, well, damn, what do we do now? Everything's gone.
It was amazing. So I hope anime only watchers are enjoying the ride. And I hope they keep watching because things aren't all what they seem. And that's all I'll say. Also another great outro. Yeah, I mean, before we dive into that, anything else about the episode that you guys wanted to bring up? Because I just, there was so much, like, seeing Himono sacrifice everything and getting to see her, especially the animation. I even like retweeted it on our Mega Manga Mondays Twitter at Manga Mondays. Just the shot of like the ghost hands like coming out and just multiplying as they're crawling towards the camera. Like one of the people who did that animation shared it, like their draft of it, like in progress, and just shout out to the animation crew. Anybody who's helped with the anime, you're doing a great job, and you deserve a lot of money and jobs in the future. So.
Well, and just talking about the animation, I don't remember her name, but the girl who was with
Akane.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we don't know her name in the anime, I guess, but
I thought I was very stunned. Like, I remember in the manga, like when she calls back the snake that she summoned, it was very, but like
that girl. Okay.
That moment though, like that cut where like all of a sudden the snake was just gone.
Yeah.
That was very visually stunning. Like was like, I had to rewind it, and I just wanted to watch it again because it just felt like just so unnatural, but at the same time it was just I was stunned. It was very, very well done.
Yeah, and speaking of unnatural animation, the curse stuff with Aki, when he's fighting Katana Man and he's doing the 3-2-1. First of all, I really love the fingers in that shot, because in the manga it's done where the fingers are like outside of the panels. And I was curious how they're going to actually adapt that sort of thing. And I think they did a good job. They didn't really explicitly break the fourth wall, but still looked really good and was very nice. And then the shot of Katana Man like being cursed, like where he's like sort of crucified, like that. It was done in like CG, and I think people are going to say ugly CG because it was kind of ugly in that shot. I think the CG of the curse thing was ugly. I think it was ugly intentionally because it's supposed to be an unnatural sort of thing there. With Katana Man being cursed like that, and I think it elevated the moment for me.
I really think you should make an article on those two things. Like that's very good. That's a great reading.
I'll do it.
I like that reading. Well, especially about the breaking of the fourth wall, because there are some instances where manga they do try and push the envelope and how they draw it, and you can't always capture that in anime, obviously. But that's very interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah. For me, I know a lot of people can be put off by like 3D animation, and of course, it's not always going to be awesome, or it's not always going to be bad. I just feel like a lot of people harp on it, and
Chainsaw Man has been great with the CG. Like it's looked great. People who complain about it are just sort of. I think they're just triggered by CG. I think they're just like computer graphics in a cartoon.
Yeah,
No,
I can only enjoy cartoons if it's hand drawn over the course of 10 years.
Yeah,
like I remember though, like when the first trailer came out and it was CGI, like I was one of those people that it's like, oh crap, it's ruined type of deal. But it has been like they have been doing it very well. Like you can tell when there's CG, but it like you guys have been saying it before, like it is blended. Like I remember there was one scene that was done exceptionally well in the first episode where it was kind of like an aerial side view of Denji after he transformed, and you could tell like his body was, CG, but they had drawn in, you could tell that they drew in the actual the things on the chainsaw, but like the
like treads.
Yeah, the treads. Like you could tell that was animated, that was hand drawn. So it was a great mix where it's like it's like the illusion that it's all hand drawn, but I enjoyed it. But
and I'm curious to see how more anime in the future will adapt these techniques, because I think we can firmly say that Chainsaw Man's animation style is just completely different from anything else going on right now. I think it builds on a lot of things that have come before it. Like Ufotable often does great work with CG and like compositing their shots. And like
which one? What?
Ufotable. They're the studio behind Demon Slayer and also Fate, a lot of Fate series as well.
That's definitely a name that I've read and not heard.
Well, I mean, I think it's like Ufotable is how you. I don't know. People go back and forth on how to pronounce it, but they've sort of done work blending CG and hand drawn animation in the past, and I feel like Chainsaw Man is like building on that and going a step further. And it's just great to see. So hopefully, I think it will lead to better animation.
Definitely. Yeah, because I know Studio 4C was trying to do it like with their Berserk movies. No, not the Berserk movie. It was actually the seasons afterwards. Like you could tell they were trying to combine the CG and hand drawn. Like they're trying to create that illusion. Like there's a lot of instances where you'd see, Guts. He's all CGI. Or CG, but they hand draw the shadows like under his chin to try and create that. But like the way that it's done, it's very jarring. It isn't well juxtaposed together, and that is something that Chainsaw Man has been able to do really well. But yes, so like I'm always mad about Berserk stuff.
Speaking of, the '90s anime is going to be on Netflix, I think, starting tomorrow. At least in the States.
I actually have it on DVD.
Yeah, right.
What's a DVD? What's that?
Wow. Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, that's the best adaptation of Berserk I think we've gotten. But yeah.
The last episode, though. Sorry.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, I guess anything else to say about Chainsaw Man episode 8 before we start moving into the manga? Because I know Ben's kind of on a time limit today, I definitely want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's speak through it.
I'll just bring up one last thing in the ending theme, which you mentioned. They had a really neat shot of Himeno in like what seemed to be a forest, but if you look closer, it's just all a bunch of ghost hands. Neat little thing. One of the many reasons why this ending is one of my favorites. But.
Oh, that's right about the ending. I didn't look into it that much. Sorry, I'll just do it really quickly. I didn't recognize a lot of the scenes, or I wasn't able to tie it into something. And I was wondering, were they showing like other devil hunters who had died, before Aki? Like that's what it kind of seemed like they were trying to do.
You mean in
like,
the graveyard?
You see them like walking through like the graveyard where all the devil hunters are, and it seemed like there were like scenes of other fighters that I didn't recognize. I was like, are they trying to do that? Or
the fighters were Aki and Himeno. If you're
talking
about the fight against the eyeball thingy,
no,
that was Aki and Himeno. You see Aki using cone and Himeno using your ghost thing to propel Aki into the air, and you can.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But
that would have been cool if they did, because I was getting that impression. I'm like, are they trying to like show their relationship beforehand? But yeah,
well, it is kind of. But yeah, the graveyard is definitely to show all the ones who have died, and now Himeno is among their ranks.
Oh man, it was a sad episode. It was. it went from like I've always referred to her as Eye Patch Girl, and even when it like started up, I was just like, oh hey, there's the girl. She's the one that pukes. And but like this episode just really like helped me appreciate her character so much more, and so much so that I have now committed her name to memory, which
This
is
was actually
more than I can say for a lot of anime characters.
this was actually the point, and then we can move on. When I fell in love or I became invested in Aki's character, because I always felt like, because I know we were talking about it before. Like I know you were saying, Ben, that you were always like attracted to him. Well, not, but yeah. And
and cool
like,
if you are, man. It's cool if you are.
I mean, listen, Aki is a hot
good-looking
dude.
dude.
You know, he's a good-looking
especially when his
dude.
hair's down.
Yeah,
straight
no,
up hot.
the anime. I mean, yeah.
But yeah,
my
like,
cuddle pillows on the way.
Yeah, like I always felt like for me, like he was always accentuated by the other characters, like how he complimented them. And this was really like when I was like, I'm all in for Aki. That's when I fell in love with this character. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, they're continuing to nail it, and I can't believe we're only 8 episodes in. Like it feels like we've experienced so much, and yeah, I think we've talked previously in the podcast where we think this season might end, and I'm starting to think Ben might be the closest to predictions. But if you want to hear that, go back and check out our previous Chainsaw Man podcasts. Yeah, unless you guys have anything else, I think we'll go ahead and move into discussion on Chainsaw Man chapter 112.
I'm excited for the chapter, so let's.
Awesome. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our anime chat. We're going to go ahead and start talking about the newest chapter of Chainsaw Man, which is not episode, chapter 1000. Oh my God.
Sorry,
this isn't One Piece.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I missed One Piece this week. We are on chapter 112 of Chainsaw Man, and I think it's officially called Between Cat and Criminal. It's been a little bit since I've read this chapter because it did come out last week, but I've got it up here. We kind of start out with Asa and the War Devil staring at the damage that they caused when they were fighting the Justice Devil, and we get to see, or we pretty much learned that they need to be able to create a weapon that was more powerful than her fragile yet insanely strong uniform sword was. So we kind of have this new goal in mind. We need to find somebody else to create this stronger weapon. We kind of get a little bit more into the mystery of who this mysterious girl that showed up was. Excuse me. And one thing I've noticed that I hadn't noticed before was the girl who showed up and kind of revived Yuko and made her a giant demon head or devil head. Her earrings have like the same Chainsaw Man like starter poles.
Yeah.
And in our previous podcast, we've thrown a couple ideas on who this woman could be, who this young woman could be. I kind of like the idea that it might be Naoya, the little girl that Denji was supposed to be taking care of, but she
dyed her hair
a little bit.
Yeah.
She dyed her
she
hair.
dyes
possibly.
her hair back and forth because Naoya showed up in the previous chapter, like with Denji.
That's right.
Just
like,
a round black
hair.
circle.
So,
I guess we're all assuming that had to be her.
I mean, it's very, yeah, it could be a teddy bear that Denji picked up after Naoya aged up, I guess. But
I think it's just a round dog butt.
I mean, it looks. I mean, going back to chapter 111, it does not look like a dog butt, but no.
We'll see. We got to a little bit more of her in this chapter because they quickly turn around and as we suspected in previous podcasts, there's some openings in the new Devil Hunter Club. We learned that actually it wasn't quite as fatal as we thought, because I think they revealed only one person actually died during the Justice Devil's onslaught, but a couple others like quit. But this mysterious girl is in the club. Gasp. just the mystery continues to grow with her, but then we get to meet the founder, or at least the leader of the club, who is claiming to be Chainsaw Man. He's got a fake starter in his chest, maybe. I mean, the last chapter we left off with the whole idea that there might be an imposter Chainsaw Man wandering around. So I mean, we're getting what could possibly be some red herrings. But I almost like the idea that this guy is just a complete fake. He's not even the fake Chainsaw Man. I almost feel like Fujimoto might be throwing that as a red herring.
But before we dive into him,
yes,
I
please.
just wanted, because you mentioned the girl from Devil Hunters Club, and that got me curious, especially when you mentioned one dying only and then one quitting. So I went back to chapter 107, and where, the Devil Hunters Club first showed up, and there are 3 of them, one of which is a girl with blonde hair whose eyes are covered by her hat, and who seemingly gets dispatched and chucked out a window. But what if she made a contract with the devil, like, as she was dying, just like Asa did? Because it looks like she could be, I don't know, like, there's no reason to cover up her face that much.
Right.
And, we've seen people make contracts like that in dire situations. So she is also a member of the Devil Hunters Club already. I could see
solid theory.
I could see that being her. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Do you think that she might be the Justice Devil then, or do you think she might be a different devil?
I think she's a different devil. I don't think she's the Justice Devil, especially because, like, the eyes making her seem like one of the horsemen.
Different,
yeah. But I don't know. Fujimoto is a master of subverting expectations. So who can say who she is exactly?
Yeah, I mean, what if she she could also be the imposter Chainsaw Man who killed Yuko too. I don't know. Those earrings are a big clue into that. I don't know. I feel like Fujimoto's trying to tell us something with those earrings, but yeah, I really liked everything this chapter set up. I mean, we just had a lot of craziness happen with the school attack and stuff like that. And this chapter definitely felt like the transition into a lot of, big stuff coming up. But I jotted down the name of the leader of the student council and Devil Hunter Club, because I guarantee he'll be coming back. Haruka Izumi.
Yep.
Izumi Mario. So we'll have to try to commit that name to memory. I'm really bad with names. But I don't know. Do you guys think that he might be the imposter, or I think he might be just a total fake red herring?
I'm still going with my original theory that it's at least someone at the school, doesn't have to be in the Devil Hunters Club, made a contract with the Justice Devil, and I'm still under the impression that the way that the Justice Devil, transforms the people they made a contract with, it has a monkey's paw effect. And I think that that's the student who made the contract wanted to defeat, or wanted to be the one who killed Yuko, because Yuko was killing their classmates. And because Chainsaw Man is able to, basically stop, not kill Yuko, it would make sense that the Justice Devil would have that person who made the contract with them turn into a Chainsaw Man lookalike. But that's just, it's a little convoluted, but I'm sticking with it.
Well, that could be Haruka, right? Like, he could have been the one to want to do
that. Yeah, he could be. Yep, definitely.
I mean, honestly, I think at this point we just don't know enough, right?
We don't know anything.
Could just be a poser, because he's kind of like, he seems kind of like he would be a poser. But also he could have made a contract with Justice Devil to sort of become this fake Chainsaw Man. Who knows? We probably won't find out for some time. And it's just it's nice to see some pieces set up, though, for the future.
And there's also something interesting too. I'm trying to think, what how would things change, or how would the contract change when someone who makes a contract with the Justice Devil to have justice be done? How would that contract change if that justice has been achieved? I wonder if that would actually affect anything, because already, I mean, obviously the class president who originally made the contract with the Justice Devil did justice because she wanted to, find a way to get with the teacher who, gets turned into a sword. That never happened. And then the second person, Yuko, she did it so that everyone would love her, and that obviously didn't happen because everyone hates her now. It's like I wonder if someone who makes a contract with the Justice Devil, like if anything would change if they have their justice be done. I don't know if that even matters, but it's something fun to think about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what does a successful contract look like? But I know previously we had kind of discussed if multiple people, we weren't sure if multiple people can have the same contract or use the same devil. And the anime episode actually answered that for me within the last couple episodes, because they said oh yeah, a lot of people use, I think, the fox spirit or something like that because it likes humans so much. So there can be multiple people using the Justice Devil. So that's pretty exciting. But just one last thing about the student council guy here too. One thing that might be worth taking note that I thought was kind of odd how Fujimoto drew it was the panel where he's lifting up his shirt and he says, "Here's your answer." Fujimoto didn't draw the reactions at all of the other members of the Devil Hunter Club. I would almost expect if he was really Chainsaw Man and he was really their leader, him doing that, they would be looking more proud or looking anything really. And they just have very blank expressions. And I'm almost just, I don't know if it's just a sort of a military sort of thing where they're just trying to be as professional as possible and stuff like that. Or if there's something there.
I think it's just them trying to it's either them trying to be as professional as possible, or it's oh, here he goes again, showing off his ripcord.
Or they could even
he whips it out too much.
Yeah.
That, or I mean, it could also be intimidation too. I mean, I didn't really give much notice to it, but I mean, looking at it now, just the fact that we don't see their eyes and that the person to the left of him or to the right, it almost looks like they're, looking sullen, maybe scared even. I'm probably reading into it too much, but I guess that could also be another thing that he could be, just freaking out everyone. I'm this powerful guy, you have to listen to me and just do whatever I say, type of thing. So it could be some form of intimidation, but who knows?
Yeah, possibly.
I will also say, one last thing on the topic of them. I do like sort of the continuity that one of them has lost an eye, and that's one of the people that we see lose an eye in the fight against the Justice Devil. So maybe that actually casts doubt on the theory that the girl with the ring eyes is the third member of the Devil Hunter Club who's fighting Yuko, because she would probably be the one who quit. But maybe just some other member of the club quit because they're wow, people are dying. Nope, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, shit just got real.
Yeah,
I still think it's a good reading. It's still a good reading, though. I mean, looking at the fact that this person's eyes are hidden, it could have just been a coincidence, but at the same time, I mean, it could be very deliberate that was done. So
yeah,
I wouldn't just throw that under the rug yet.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about in the future. I'm just excited for whatever comes next, especially given what happens at the end of this chapter, which we should probably discuss before I have to go.
Yes. We kind of the chapter kind of started out with it too. I mean, Asa and War Devil need to create a stronger weapon to be able to fight Chainsaw Man. So she kind of has this new mission to, maybe get a closer relationship with somebody. They start going over morality and, it's just oh, I wouldn't want to use a cat. I'd rather kill somebody than kill a cat. And so she starts looking at the crowd and sees conveniently Denji picking up some stuff. And one of my favorite panels of this too was when War Devil realized that she's like, oh man, Asa might actually like help me out, and you get to see War Devil's like smile, which is one of the most, lack of a better term, one of the most devilish smiles I've ever seen. I really like that panel.
It's another reason why I just love their relationship. It's just so great to see. I can't wait to see it animated when Chainsaw Man gets there in a couple years, probably.
Yeah,
more than a couple actually. But I can't wait to see if they have the same voice actress do both roles, which I think they probably will. But I just can't wait to see their interpretation on it.
Absolutely. We were just talking about, I think my favorite panel of the whole chapter is when War Devil realizes that Asa's going to help her out, and you see
I'm
her
looking
smile.
at that.
Yeah.
So creepy.
Man. It's so creepy and devilish. I didn't quite get the like stepping on chickens thing though. Is that
that's because
that simply just a callback to chapter 1 of part 2? Or
so it's also because of her dream of being in the alley with a bunch of chickens.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
But it's basically like the chickens represent her like guilt or like, and she's just willing to go forward with it, right? She's willing to kill another chicken, despite how guilty she may feel. So that's my reading on it. Like
that's a good reading too.
Yeah. Very.
So yeah, it's metaphorical. She's not literally stepping on a chicken for anyone at home who's confused about that. Maybe.
Yeah, they're just walking along, and she's just like, "Get out of my way, step."
Yeah.
But yeah, as they're discussing that, we see Denji like picking up cigarette buds, and man, I had a roommate who was so addicted to cigarettes, he would go around and do this.
He would sell, smokes to.
No, he would smoke them himself.
Okay.
It was pretty gross. But yeah, Denji going around making some easy money by ripping off homeless people, I guess, was exactly Asa needed at the right time, right when she's thinking, you know what, I need to kill somebody, but it was explained that the bigger the guilt you feel about using that as a weapon, the stronger it is. So we got some more clarification on how War Devil's abilities are going to work here, but. Yeah,
and that's another reason why War Devil's weapons haven't been that effective, because she doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we called it in a previous Chainsaw Man podcast. One way that Asa would be able to get close to Denji is if they started dating, or if she asked him out, because we know that he's wanted this for a long time, and she's consistently. I mean, we got it. The idea toyed with when she came up to Yoshida, and she's like, "Hey, would you like to be my boyfriend?" So I can't wait to see how awkward their date is going to be. Hopefully in the next chapter. But yeah, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the end of this chapter.
Go, Ben.
I just loved it. Like, this is the best way to set this up, because there's so many levels of like dramatic irony that we know of, but the characters don't, right? Denji can literally turn himself into a weapon already. He's also the one that she's trying to use him against. So there's just so much going on here. And also, we know that Denji is taking care of Ayuda, presumably, based on the panel in chapter 111. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to make this money to support Nayuda a bit more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Which is a bit of a noble goal in making this sort of money. So maybe after Asa sees that, she'll be like, "Oh, maybe
he's not so bad.
Wrong." Yeah.
That is a much better reading than what mine was. Like, do you have more to say, or?
Oh, no, you go.
No, like, because the way I was seeing it is like it kind of unforgivable thing to me.
Well, it is very bad, of course.
Yeah, but at least there was, some goodness to it. Like, one of the things I was seeing is that, it's very obvious or very likely that Denji isn't living well right now, or not eating well. I mean, like, you could say that he was lying, but like when he's going on that, eating with Yoshida, he's saying, I'm broke. The way he eats the cake makes it seem like that he hasn't eaten anything that good in a while. He just shoves it in his face. And like even in the anime, like once he gets used to eating food, like he doesn't shove things in his mouth, like he's able to control himself. And like, and
he had the silverware being held away from him, so he didn't have a choice.
Right.
To eat the cake without his hands.
Yeah.
Like there is that, and it's like it just feels like
I would almost disagree, because the beginning of the series, especially in the anime, like we're showing Denji like having to pinch pennies just to survive. So
that's the thing. Like that's why like it's in pursuit of that dream of being able to just live a normal life, and it just seems bad. Like all the he's made all these other decisions that are very gray morally, but they're always kind of lovable in how they're done, like and how he chooses to save the cat instead of the the
dudes in the car,
old woman and the dudes in the car. There's that, and there's also, even in the next chapter that's going to be taking place, like what will happen in the next episode of the anime, is that he actually ends up holding one of Katana Man's like people hostage, like I'm gonna saw his face off, even like licks the side of his face, like kind of like a villain. But like that just it doesn't seem as bad as what he's doing now, especially since he grew up not having anything, living in a shack, wanting money, like not having, like eating rotten food, and then here he is like going after people, like basically preying on people who are like he experienced himself. Like it just doesn't, like I like the idea if he's doing it for Nayuta, but if it's just for himself, then I'm just like that's kind of unforgivable to me. I don't see any good coming out of that, but that's just my reading from it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even the beginning of the series, he did the whole like, "I'll eat that cigarette for 100 yen." And
but he spits it out. He doesn't eat it though. Like he
So
he still puts it in his mouth.
So I mean, he's still. I guess that whole thing is just proving that he's okay with like pulling one over on people.
Which is just. But like, the thing is that the person is homeless. Like the person who was doing it to him was like some rich dude. It's like, hey, take this, see if you can get some money. It's like he was in that instance in the anime, he was the victim. And now he is victimizing a person who he was in that same position. It just seems it just doesn't look good.
I think
it's go ahead real quick.
It's supposed to not look good, right? And I think that it does that well. And this is part of why I think it was such a smart decision for part 2 to take a step back away from Denji, so that we can have this sort of moment where it's like, wow, he's doing some really despicable things, and we don't really know why, because we don't really know his situation at home, and we don't really know what his goals are now, besides, of course, dating someone. But I think it's just another brilliant example of how well Fujimoto is constructing this. And I'm very excited to learn, why he wants the money so bad. Or if it's just like, as you say, it's a potential that he's just, trying to get more money and just scamming people just because he wants more money. But who can say? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where
definitely got more to say on it. But Ben, I know you got to get going. Did you want to throw out your plugs real quick, man?
Yeah. So in terms of recommendations, I started reading a manga called Oshi no Ko, which was very fun. It's like basically I love performance art manga, manga that basically turn acting or comedy, or in the case of Kane Banashi, Rakugo, into a sort of shonen sort of thing. And Oshi no Ko does this with acting and idol groups, and it shows sort of the dark sides of the Japanese entertainment industry as well. So very fun series. And then in terms of plugs, I have a YouTube channel of my own called YGO from Zero, where I go over historical formats of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So if that sounds like something that interests you, be sure to check that out. But yeah, I do have to go. Pleasure talking with y'all as always. Look forward to the next discussion. So
we'll keep talking about it, but check out Ben's stuff in the description. But thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, see you around.
But yeah, one thing I think it's kind of interesting that you have an issue with like Denji doing this, but we've
Mhm.
seen him actively like, I don't give a shit about that car full of people. Go ahead and
I
kill them all.
I
Like,
know it's so weird because it's like it, it it feels funny to me, which is so weird. Like I guess like the fact that he's saving a cat, it's just endearing almost. Like it's twisted, but at the same time, it's like there's a comedic spin to it. Like immediately after, and like right now, there's nothing funny about this. I mean, maybe that's why. Like, and it's just the fact that he was in that situation before, and like and the fact that I mean it's a perfect parallel that you made, like that he ate a cigarette in the first episode or first chapter. Since we're talking about the manga, it's like he was being used to, I think that's why they did this. Maybe like that's a perfect parallel. It's like someone was taking advantage of the fact that he needs money, making to make him do something stupid, and now he's doing that to a homeless person who's like basically
he's doing
they're like
something
the most
stupid to make
innocent
money.
people. Like leave them alone type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like what it's like the whole thing from it's nowhere near as bad, but like American Psycho, like just the hatred of bums and treating bums like crap. It's like why? Like they're like at the lowest point in their lives. It's like woo.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it does like Ben was saying, it makes like it's very like wow. It doesn't make him look good, but it's like I'm starting to not like him as a character, and I don't like feeling that. Just
Yeah.
because I've always felt like everything else he did was justified. Like
Mhm.
I felt like it was justified. Like there was something behind it there just was something acceptable about it. But I can't find anything acceptable about this unless it is for Nayuda. But it's like you could do it a different way, you know?
Yeah, and that's where I think it all comes down to is if they had just if Fujimoto had done it a different way. Because I think the whole reason he had to do it is just he had to come up with something Denji doing something not cool.
It would have been cool
So
though. Oh, sorry. Go. No, you
so
go.
so when Asa's like getting the whole talk in her ear, just like we need to kill somebody to create a powerful weapon. We need to kill somebody that you'll feel bad about killing, but at the same time, how far do you want to like destroy your conscience?
Well,
Um,
that's the thing, and it kind of goes in what Ben's reading about the chicken. Like I think at that point it would have been more powerful if she just found like anything as an excuse to do it. It would have like kind of matched more with like that I love that reading actually. The stepping on the chicken is like I'm willing to do anything to get what I need to do. I think that would have been much stronger without making Denji look like a horrible person. But again, we don't know what Fujimoto like. He knows what he's doing. Like
yeah,
he's never led me astray. Like even like back to one of my earlier readings, like I disliked the first like chapter 98, starting part 2. Like I thought like it was very lackluster, but they ended up explaining why Yuko couldn't have been as close to her teacher as how I wanted initially, because then his death, like, because then like her that whole reveal where her clothes were an awesome, like so powerful, that wouldn't have been as powerful if she had had a stronger relationship with her teacher. Does that make sense? Like he was able to justify something that I didn't like, and I'm hoping that he'll do it here. But if his
mhm,
goal is to make Denji look bad, then that's working too.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean we'll definitely see if Fujimoto like rectifies it, and yeah, I think that that's a great way to rectify it too, is to reveal that he's taking care of a little girl, and I love that idea too. It kind of can go into like where we hope it will go next, because
yeah,
it's just this is such a narrative rich idea of having these two characters try to date because if we absolutely we know Denji would invite her back to his place if she asked, and her to like kill him or turn him into a weapon. I could see that being the perfect time for like she's about to like try to kill him, and then he's just like, oh, by the way, this is my daughter. And then you like then she's shocked and she's like, oh my god, he's taking care of this little girl, and like she's not going to be able to go through with killing him because of that. And then I love the idea of like fake Chainsaw Man appears and in front of both of them. And then she's got to be like, oh, well, there he is. Go get him. And he's like, okay. And then he turns into Chainsaw Man. And she's just like, wait, what? Like, there's so many cool things that can happen now. I'm very excited. Where do you hope it'll go next? Do you hope it totally switches gears and we just focus on the romance between Denji and Asa now?
Like, yeah, I mean, it's like I'm surprised. Like Ben didn't mention, oh, he had to run off, but I remember he might have mentioned it. I don't know, but he did a pitch and it got accepted. I believe it just hasn't gone up yet. Where this is like pretty much mirroring what happened, between him and Makima, and then something else too. Like it's also between him and Riza. Like everyone who's had a relationship with him has been using him. And that's continuing that. Like we know that now. Like in part 1, we didn't know that Riza was like the freaking bomb devil. Yeah. And then Makima was just like controlling him the whole time. Like it's kind of sad. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go on a date. This girl wants to go on a date with me. Oh, but she actually wants to kill me.
Yeah.
It's just so utterly tragic.
Very tragic. Poor Denji.
Yeah. Now I feel bad for him. Like it was like, I feel bad. Yeah.
It's come full circle. Well, I mean, hopefully that's kind of the thing with Fujimoto. Like at this point, we're expecting it to go exactly how it's gone every time, where Denji finds out a little too late and the damage has been done. I almost love it if I would love it if Fujimoto like turns that around and Asa like legitimately starts feeling for him. And then we actually get to see like a relationship build between the two. And then it would make it so like it would be a huge cliffhanger if it seems like she successfully like turns him into a weapon and kills him. So we think. Oh man, that'd be such a great way to easily transition to hell too.
Yeah.
And like Denji's trapped in hell, and he goes to try to save power and like reclaim his body or something like that. Oh man, there's just so many cool things that can happen now. Oh man, thoughts and theories here on Mega Manga Mondays.
Well, I don't know if you mentioned it either, but like one of the things that you mentioned, about how there's two chainsaw guys. Mm-hmm. Something that would be interesting is if it's like she's going on a date with Denji or something, and she sees the other Chainsaw Man and wants to kill him, and she creates another weapon to kill him and successfully kills him, and Denji's like, holy crap, like because you would see like that she goes out of her way to kill that other guy when it's actually him, like the mental torment that would do to him. It's like, oh my god, she actually wanted to kill me, like type of deal. Like that could be a whole mental thing as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost think like if Denji sees fake Chainsaw Man, I would just see him instantly being like, "What, you phony? I'm the real Chainsaw Man." Like, I don't see him just sitting idly back and being like, "Oh man, that guy is pretending to be me." Oh well, I've got a burger here. Nom nom nom. Like, I don't see that happening. But yeah, that's a great theory too. Like, because I mean, we've always just been with Denji, and as we said, he's a lot like Luffy in the aspect where he's just like very narrow-minded with his goals. And trying to and being focused on accomplishing that thing. So I have no idea how Denji would react to seeing another Chainsaw Man running around. It's
he'd probably get pissed. Like it's like, hey, it's like I'm supposed to be you. Like the women are supposed to love me because of that. You're taking that away from me.
Yeah, he's just like, what if chicks start liking him more than me? Oh boy. Well, I think we threw out some pretty fun theories. Anything else on Chainsaw Man before we move into plugs and recommendations?
I mean, just going through things. I mean, like in some of the earlier pages of this chapter, like you were talking about more on the anime side, like how Fujimoto tries to capture cinematic things. Like it happens on page 25, like when you see there's like those 3 images of Denji, like and there's only subtle changes in his facial expression before he says, "Why'd you ask?" Like that type of thing where it's like he's showing that time is moving by, and there
Just
is
the whole
change.
progression of the reaction. Like,
Very
yeah, I
cinematic.
love it.
Yeah,
I think Fujimoto really nailed that too a few chapters back with the conversation between Yuko and Asa. Like her
that was the most
revealing,
powerful one. I
oh
think.
man, that was another huge shift too. Like, it's so fun. Chainsaw Man is fun. Support the official release, everybody.
It's just that he's a gifted dude. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like if this came out when I was younger, I could see myself like just like dropping everything and becoming like a follower of Fujimoto, like
Yeah,
moving to
starting a
Japan and just
cult.
like becoming a slave or something. I don't know. Like
It's
like
never too late, man.
he
Never
has
too late.
no, like he has a gift. He really does. I am enjoying his work.
Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely be talking about new Chainsaw Man. It is on break this week, but not next week. But I might actually be out of town next week. I'm going to be going to San Diego for a very special One Piece event to celebrate the new game. I'm covering it for Screen Rant, so very exciting. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and move into full plugs and recommendations. Speaking of One Piece, that's another series we talk about on Manga Monday. You can check us out on, we have an official website, megamangamonday.podbean.com. Also, obviously on YouTube and Spotify and anywhere else you get podcasts. But we talk about One Piece, My Hero Academia, Chainsaw Man, and we'll have a new episode of Boruto discussion coming out pretty soon too. So looking forward to that. But I also just had my review for Sonic Frontiers drop today.
It's out?
Yeah. My
Published?
review just got published this morning. So check out Jason Hahn, that's me, my works on Screen Rant. And I have another YouTube series called Hansi and Friends. I do Let's Play videos. Right now we're playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. It's a special modded version of the classic PlayStation 2 game. We're kind of just going through the whole Dragon Ball Z storyline. But me and my good buddy do some commentary while we're playing it and stuff. And it's a good time, kind of Mystery Science Theater, but with video games. Game Grumps kind of do the same thing if you've heard of them. But please subscribe to that. I would love to hear from you as well. But Steven, plugs or recommendations today, bud?
I'll first say, I see that you gave Sonic Frontiers 3 out of 5 stars. Read it to find out why. And I did. I saw that episode, the Dragon Ball Z one, and I gotta say, it is very hilarious. I love it when you guys do the voices when you're voicing Raditz and Goku.
Thanks, man.
Like, yeah, it's funny. So yeah, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan or just like gaming, I'd suggest watching those videos. They are very funny.
Thanks, man.
So on my side, I mean, I'll just say still really excited. They got the interview scheduled to talk to the voice of Sonic for the upcoming Sonic Prime.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, and they sent me the screeners of all the episodes from the first season, so going through that. And I'll just say I like it a lot more than I thought I would.
Good.
Yeah, like it's
Sonic Prime, right?
Yeah, Sonic Prime.
The name of it? Okay.
Yeah, coming out. It's halfway through December. It'll be coming out. But yeah,
good.
so people who just like the comics or like Archie comics, you might enjoy it as well, maybe. And I'll just say too for recommendations, I have been watching the Memorial Edition of Berserk, which is basically taking the 3 movies that were made by North Sea Studio, I believe. But so they basically turned the Golden Age arc into 3 movies. They're now adapting it into TV show format that's on Crunchyroll. And it's basically adding some new scenes here and there. But the latest episode did something that the original anime didn't even do. And it did it beautifully.
Ooh.
It is the scene that adds on to the first time when Guts and Casca are consummating their relationship for the first time.
They're already there?
Yeah. But it's like it goes into like, so people who've read the manga.
Finish that sentence. Huh? It goes in. I'm at the edge of my seat. What happens?
Oh, you want to know? Oh, okay. Like it actually, it's a pivotal point in their relationship, and I've always been upset it's never adapted. There we go. It's where when they're doing the deed, Guts actually has a flashback of when, Gambino sold him and he was being assaulted as a kid, and he ends up losing himself and chokes her during it. And then he realizes what he's doing. It was like word for word, scene for scene. I read and reread it in the manga. Beautiful. And so Guts is freaking out. Like he's like realized he just did something horrible. Like he tells he like why that happened, but he backs away from her and he's saying, I can understand if you never want to be with me. I wouldn't want to either. If you can't forgive me, I will go into battle and I will, try and, just make it up to you, even though you'll hate me forever. And just basically pushes away because it is like he says, this was your first time and I did something traumatic. It's unforgivable. He turns away and she ends up accepting him, just goes behind him, hugs him and, saying that we will lick our wounds together because she's broken, he's broken.
Oh, man.
So it's the fact that I can see why it wasn't included because it's a very intense subject matter, but it's the most important part of a relationship that makes everything else that happens in the anime, in the manga, just all the more tragic because it's amazing. Just she accepts him for even when he did the most horrific thing, she accepted it and he was willing to just leave her if that's what she needed. He was willing to, step up and be like, I did something wrong. I will not try to force myself on, in a relationship with you. It's just a beautiful, poignant moment. And I'm so glad they adapted it. Cause I'm not a fan of the CG. I'm one of those guys who was like, no, it should be drawn.
The Golden Age arc movies are actually how I got into Berserk. So I have a soft spot for them, but I do get the criticisms for them.
But that episode, and it was crazy too. It shares the same name of the chapter where that happened, Wounds. It's Jesus. It's just man. It is when it was happening. Oh my God, it's happening. And it's just,
are they doing it? Oh my God, they're doing
it. Of it. I am loving it. That's awesome, I'm sold because I've always wanted to see
that's really good to hear it. Because as soon as I heard that they were just converting those films into episodes, I was just like, oh, that's going to be lame unless they add more to it. And that's really good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things I haven't been liking. I've been writing about it. Every single episode that comes out, they added, the scene, the bonfire of dreams or the campfire of dreams, which is an epic moment, so important. It's one of the first times that where Casca and Guts really connect and talking about their dreams and Guts drops that he might be leaving. So that was there, but of course, you're comparing it to the original anime where there's Guts's theme, which is you can't replace Guts's theme. That song is just beautiful, and it's just trying to recreate that didn't work. They even added scenes that weren't in the anime or the manga, which I didn't like. But then there was this scene, and it was oh my God, and it just the angles matched up. The words were exactly the same. It's Perfect. Just it was
That's beautiful.
They did it justice. Yeah. So.
Well, hell yeah. We might have to do more Berserk podcasts. Yeah. We just did a little mini one right now. So, but yeah, man. So we'll be putting that information in the description. So definitely check out our plugs and recommendations there. But it's been a lot of fun talking Chainsaw Man with you, man. And I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, please subscribe and let us know in the comments if there's any bits that you feel like we didn't talk about. I would also love to hear your favorite parts of the anime or the manga that you've been keeping up with. Would love to hear from you. But until next time, peace.